Dawn Lewis here. Welcome to today's vlog. Today I want to talk to you about relationship advice. Yes, we are talking about breaking up with a craft or hobby. Now, I know that might seem a little flippant, but have you ever had to break up with a hobby that you've enjoyed? Something that you've done for years and years, you're right into it, and then all of a sudden one day, it's not quite as interesting. And then, even worse, you wake up one day and you know it's over. How do you break up with a craft or a hobby? Well, I've done this a few times. I am the kind of person who has lots and lots of things on the go at once. Anyone who knows me will be nodding so emphatically they'll put their neck out. I used to do hobby ceramics. In fact, it's one of the first things that I really got into full time. I went and did classes on a Tuesday night, even in the middle of the winter. It was freezing cold in this, in this industrial unit, and I would go and I would choose my ceramic piece while it was green, and I'd clean it all up and leave it for firing. And then I'd glaze them or I'd paint them, and I really enjoyed the process. It was one of my first forays into painting, and it got me loving painting faces. But all of a sudden one day it wasn't doing it for me anymore, and then came the inevitable day where I couldn't even bear to look at it, and at the same time the studio that I was going to shut down. So it was kind of good timing, but I had to break up with it. And as always, at the end of a breakup, well, I had to let go of all the stuff. Okay, so I had paints and glazes and brushes, and I had little caddies for things, and I had boxes and boxes and boxes and boxes of greenware. Now, I struggled to let go of it really early, and I should have let go of it when the ceramics craze was at its height. Everyone was into it, and I should have let it go, and I should have sold all my pieces or given them away. But I didn't. I hung on to them and I hung on to them, and they moved house with me no less than 3 times, which was ridiculous. I paid the movers, I paid the petrol, I paid the space in the truck to move something I just wasn't into anymore. So eventually came the garage sale, and I sold everything off for a pittance. I practically gave it away. And this is where I want to give you a little advice from what I learned the hard way, is that when it's time, and you know in your heart it's time to give up a hobby or a craft that you've enjoyed for a really long time, you need to cut the cord pretty quickly and sell all your things off while the hobby or the craft is still popular. There are other options. If you think you might come back to it, then by all means box it up and put it aside. Perhaps box it up and put it aside with a big date on it, and if you haven't touched that box by that date, just pick the whole thing up and take it down to your local retirement village or preschool or special needs unit or community centre or the op shop. If you haven't used it in 6 months, if you haven't used it in a year, if it's a seasonal thing, you might want to give yourself 1 to 2 years, then it's time to let it go. As all the children sing, yes, it happens in my house too on occasion. Okay, so you need to let these things go. Now, this is not to say that if you are like me and you have multiple crafts, that the instant you put down your crochet hook and start sewing, you should give away all your crochet stuff. No, no, no. This is when you know in your heart that the relationship is over. It's very sad. However, by dropping this craft or hobby out of your circle of crafts, it makes room for something new. You may hit up a craft show and find supplies and a project that you're going, oh, I want to try this. If you have already taken that old craft you no longer love and taken it out of your life and out of your home, you've got room for this new thing you want to try, and you can bring it into your home and it can slot into that old craft slot really easily, and on you go with it. So there you go. That's my little words on breaking up with your craft or hobby that you've loved and loved and loved and no longer do. don't feel guilty. We are people. We evolve constantly. What you like now may not be what you like in 5 years' time. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. It is fun to try and create. And what I know is, even though I had to kiss that hobby goodbye, it put me in good stead for painting, and it set me up to love painting faces, especially painting eyes. I really enjoyed the painting and colouring, and so I've replaced it with acrylic painting and with Copic colouring. So you know what? It was great that I did it. I'm really glad I did. I learned a lot from it, and I'm glad that I was finally able to let it go. It was a big weight off my shoulders. So if you have have you ever had to break up with a craft or a hobby, something that you loved and now you don't? I would love to hear about your breakup hobby stories down in the comments below. Another thing I would love to know is, what else do you want to talk about? Whether it's arty, crafty, dilemmas, storage, hobby, business, whatever. Tell me, what do you want to know? And I will do my best to chat about that coming up soon. In the meantime, have a happy crafty day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.